Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Death and Sex Podcast. I am Stephen Thomas, your host, and along with me, as always, is Dr. Kaylee Bradley. Say hello, Dr. Bradley.
Good morning, everybody. Good to see you all.
Yeah, and we have a guest with us again, a returning guest.
We're excited.
Kaylee, tell us a little bit about our returning guest.
Yeah, we have author Val Walker with us again. We just had so much to talk about in our last conversation about her books and her work on this concept of awe and wonder. And so we were just so excited that she was willing to come back. And yeah, I feel like we've continued, Stephen and I personally, to have a lot of conversations about, what awe and wonder look like in our own lives and how important that is. And I certainly know one thing I do kind of want to chat a little bit about today is the recent moon landing and trip to space. Because my goodness, if that wasn't just an amazing example of awe and wonder, some of those pictures that came back from the recent Apollo missions. So lots to chat about, but would love to just maybe have you introduce yourself again, Val, and maybe just remind us a little bit of maybe kind of what drew you to this work on awe and wonder for those that maybe didn't get to listen to our first conversation.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for having me back. I love talking with you guys. I'm looking forward to our conversation today. I am the author of 3 books, and my most recent book is called Healing Through Wonder: How Awe Restores Us After Trauma and Loss. So I was a rehabilitation counselor for over 30 years, mostly loving to work with groups and support groups, people recovering from different kinds of trauma and setbacks, chronic illness, disability, and also a lot of grief and loss. So sitting with people for nearly 3 decades of people telling stories and experiences, I've learned a lot about what either comforts people, what draws people out of their rumination. And more recently, in the last few years, I've been learning more about how awe and wonder can lift us out of our self-referential thoughts and those nagging thoughts and rumination that happens with trauma and with acute grief. And a moment of wonder can just pull us out of our thoughts, at least briefly. And that's just fine if it's brief, because it switches our brains and resets us to see things a little differently than when we're caught in our thought bubbles. So I found when people shared stories of awe and wonder moments, whether it was a bird or a musical concert or a dream they had, like, wow, the wow factor was really healing, not only for the individual, but for the whole group. Because when the group shared a story, they felt the feels of that awe and wonder moment. So long story made short, I was writing more about it on my Psychology Today blog and other blogs I write for. And before you knew it, it was shaping into a book.
Yeah.
So that's a little about how I'm coming here.
I love it. Yeah, no, it's great. No, I think there's so much, again, that was part of our first conversation. And I know we all kind of shared examples of moments of awe and wonder. And I'm curious for both you and Stephen, Val, anything recently that has, I don't know, cultivated that sense of awe and wonder within the both of you?
Well, universally, when any kind of big event is going on in space, there's a mission of some kind, or any kind of cosmic event, when we had when we had the beautiful solar eclipse 2 years ago, any of those, or aurora borealis, there's been a lot of light, fascinating things going on with the skies over the last year or two. So those kinds of events, people will share it and momentarily forget not only their own problems, but the differences we have with each other. So it's kind of a universal relief, like at least we get a break from all our
Mhm.
differences and tensions, and everybody can
Mhm.
go, wow, look what happened. And so
Yeah.
very beautiful to me.
Yeah. I like how you described it, and I'm just jotting notes down because I like to go back to things. Cosmic events. I had not heard it maybe framed in that way before, and I like that. Yeah, and the examples you shared, even the latest space mission or the experience of the solar eclipse. It's funny, before I experienced that, and we were very fortunate here in Ohio, we got a very good, we were kind of right in, the path, and it was really,
Yeah, that's
it
right.
was just,
Ohio.
yeah, it was an
Yeah.
amazing
Totality.
experience. Yes.
It was
Yeah.
Yes.
called the
Totality.
totality. Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
like what, like a good 2 or 3 minutes or something
And
like
it
that?
was even the way that right before all the animals started acting different. Like there was just, yeah, it was an incredible experience. And I could begin to see why people go on eclipse hunts, right? Like there are people that
Mhm.
becomes like a hobby. And I didn't quite understand it until, we
You
experienced it.
experience it.
Yeah. So there's that experiential component. And it's hard to describe too, I think. That's what I keep reflecting on with all moments. Sometimes it's hard to put it into words.
That's right.
Stephen, what about you? What are some maybe awe moments, if any, that you've had recently?
Yeah. Well, I've been thinking more in terms of, you know, the way Val often describes these moments. They're often in nature. And
Mm-hmm.
at the end of towards the end of our last podcast, we talked about video games, and I
Mm-hmm.
was thinking about other mediums. And I actually have a friend who has another podcast. Or at least he hosts the most recent one. So shout out to him, Drew Saragusa, who hosts the Band Base podcast. And they had a panel of comic book artists talking about the 30th anniversary of a comic book called Kingdom Come, which I just have right here on my
Oh, he's got a
desk. I was
copy.
looking at it, but they were talking about it because it was such a seminal work at the time in '96, and that the panels done by the amazing artist Alex Ross are like pa- um, painterly pastels, very in the vein of Norman Rockwell. And the way that he painted, the modern day American mythology are superheroes, are comic book superheroes, like gods,
Mm-hmm.
and the all inspiring artwork of him, and how that left such a huge impact not only on readers but the industry at large, and it resonated with me
Mm.
as a comic book nerd or geek, and all things fun, that, oh yeah, like, and I even remember reading it the first time when I was in college, and oh yeah, this is so different, but it's so awe-inspiring, and the way that certain superheroes are treated, that
Mm-hmm.
you've seen them in movies, or you've seen them in other comics, but how it cultivates this awness. And so again, like a form of escapism for sure, but also a way, I think it speaks to why we connect with certain types of narratives,
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
awe and wonder, that gives us that permission to not only escape, but also to like, work through, how many people have said, well, this, whether it's a comic book or a film or a television show, say, boy, that really meant a lot to me. That piece of art
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
saved me, or helped me
Mm-hmm.
through that difficult time.
Yeah.
Would you all like to hear what Dacher Keltner, who's sort of a grandfather researcher of awe and wonder,
Yeah.
he says there are 8 different kinds of
Yeah. Please
basic,
remind us of those.
let me
Yeah.
just list 8. I'm just going to
I love that.
put it out there.
Yeah.
You
Please.
guys
Yeah.
let it sink in.
Please.
And, okay.
Yeah.
So the first form of awe that is very universal is awe of a human being, awe of someone's kindness or courage or hero stories. Comic book heroes have that. We have a
Mm-hmm.
sense of awe when Simone Biles in the Olympics did those amazing feats fighting against her fears. She pushed through it. And so we were in awe of her. So awe of
Mm-hmm.
people, and then
Mm-hmm.
awe of it that happens when we're in groups of people, that kind of, it's called collective effervescence, when everybody's feeling it. same time, sports events, musical concerts, watch Coldplay, or recently, I've been watching, great performers who just everybody is so caught up in it and in
Yeah.
awe, and
Yeah.
they forget their differences. They forget the rumination and the stuff. They're just there with the moment. So group, it's called collective effervescence. That's number 2. Number 3 is nature. This is not order of importance. This is just
Yeah.
nature and all
Yeah.
the things with the cosmos, with the universe, with the earth,
Yeah.
all kinds of nature. Also comes things like visual awe, including illusions and experiences of immersion into beautiful things, including film and art and architecture and places that just, you almost disappear in it. You lose your sense of self. You're just wowed. And then like the Taj Mahal and then we have music is also in its own right, all creating. And usually the music invokes vastness and sort of just so spacious. It just brings you in and gives you goosebumps, So I would say passages in life, childbirth, fascinating. And I wish that was researched more, but childbirth is very awe-inspiring. And then also passages going into death and end of life visions and end of life experiences can be awe-inducing for the individual passing as well as the people around sharing that. It's a great conversation for looking at death and dying. There's a lot of awe moments. Some other ones involve synchronicities, actually more epiphanies. Epiphanies, when you just suddenly it all makes sense. Great epiphanies. So I'm just naming there are a lot of ways to have awe and wonder moments. And I just want to say a shout out because a lot of us think it's limited to 1 or 2 ways, but it's huge. And the 8 wonders that Dacher Keltner, that's Dacher Keltner, thank goodness for him. He gave, if you like, kind of a classification in names, but that's not just limited to that, really. It's huge. So thanks for letting me talk
No, I
about
think those are
those 8
great.
things.
No, yeah. No, that's great. I love it. Yeah, I mean, the thing I'm thinking about too is the idea of like re-engagement and how awe and wonder helps people reopen emotionally, especially after trauma. And I'm even thinking
Yes.
like, because I'm experiencing it a little bit of myself, burnout, and
Okay.
how that can be a powerful way for us to recharge the battery.
Right.
And so thinking of those 8 different things, again, whether it's a comic or a fun television show or an eclipse or going on a nature hike, what are the things that help people, reopen emotionally
Yeah.
or re-engage, I think is maybe the term you use.
Well, I'm going to name a couple of things. And I'm wondering if you would mind again if I list 6 elements of an awe experience. This has been very deeply studied by neuroscientists around the world. And they
Yeah, please.
listed 6 features of when you're having an awe experience. At least a couple of all those features, if not all 6, are all happening. So this is a way you can identify, hey, legitimately, I was having an awe moment. And it doesn't matter how long it lasts. It might be 30 seconds, but it does its magic. It does something to you. So let me just list them. In this way, you can identify, hey, that's legit awe. That's what science says. That is awe-inducing. So the first is a sense of vastness. For example, if you look at the ocean or look at a view from a mountaintop or look out at a sky, vastness. And the same vastness can be evoked in music, right? A sense of just vastness is one feature that you can catch yourself going, just wow, you almost feel like you're going to expand and disappear into it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So vastness is one. The second one is really everybody can relate to, I think, is a sense of time stopping or time
Mm-hmm.
altering. Like
Yeah.
you slow down, you forget to think about what's going to happen next. You
Mm-hmm.
come into the present moment, but your sense of time is completely altered. And it gives you a chance to open up and take in what's happening around you. And it also deeply affects your body and your mind because the time
Yeah.
just stops. And also the one of the important features is that what's called the sense of a wider world so much bigger than you. The universe, the wide world is so much more than you. And it's the sense of what's called the small self.
Mm-hmm.
Neuroscientists, it's small in a good way.
Small
It's
cell.
like,
Yeah.
I'm only a small part of something so much bigger.
Yeah.
And there's
Mm-hmm.
often humility
Yeah.
and release and yeah. And then the other one that's so important is I would say sense of goosebumps and sensations that you get. You feel the chills, you feel the glow, or you
Mm-hmm.
feel uh, a lot of physical sensations. Your breath changes, your breathing changes, the vagus
Mm-hmm.
nerve
Mhm.
changes. You
Mhm.
release stress reducing dopamine and hormones.
Mm-hmm.
So those physical sensations, it helps you ground back into your body. And then
Mm-hmm.
another feature is the sense of oneness and connection with everything around you. You're not alone anymore. That's why even when you're in nature, if you're feeling really lonely with other human beings, if you even connect with trees or squirrels or something,
Mm-hmm.
you remind yourself
Mm-hmm.
you're not alone. And so all moments make us feel so connected. So just to take some researchers worked with trauma survivors acutely affected and involved experiments with trauma survivors out in nature having experiences of all together, right? Like watching the sky or
Yeah.
going off in kayaks together, or they all somehow in those moments opened up
Mm.
with each other, and they didn't need to talk and they didn't need to
Yeah.
perform. But they said it made everybody feel oneness together. And shared awe is enormously healing for when you have a lot of special social anxiety and
Mm-hmm.
fears of how people think of you, where you've been isolating a long time. Shared moments of awe naturally break us out. So imagine you're feeling that smallness and that oneness and that vastness of those elements, and the time stops. Imagine all
Yeah.
those elements working when you're with other people.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite powerful. So thanks for, again, I did another lecture on
No, this is great. And I mean, so many thoughts are popping into my head. And I do want to circle back. You mentioned, life transitions, can be such an important, space for awe and wonder. And I think about, my work with supporting individuals at end of life. And I love that you said it's not even just for the dying individual, but the people that are around that dying individual. Like there's
Yeah.
something, and it's why I think you hear so many hospice workers, and myself included as a former hospice worker, that will say like there's something so sacred about the work. And I used to kind of squirm a little bit with that word, but I think maybe it's more like there's something very awe-inducing about the work, right? Like being with grievers, being with folks in those spaces it's very awe-inducing, and you do feel a sense of humility. There's a sense of
Mm.
I don't have to have all of this figured out,
That's
which is
right.
something I really struggle with. I like to have everything mapped out, and I think the opposite is so true with awe-inducing moments, right? It's those moments where
And
we
that was
don't.
actually the sixth element. The sixth element of an awe moment, I want to reinforce, is inexplicable, that you
Yeah.
don't know how to explain it, but you're okay with that. It allows you to say, well, maybe we won't know. So it helps us live with what is unexplainable and sort of live with uncertainty and mystery. And that is so important. And I really am learning more and more that our awe helps us live with uncertainty and mystery and inexplainable things. And it's so good to feel like we can embrace that, and awe can give that to us. I'm sorry to cut you off,
No,
but it's just going, because you were saying it is inexplicable. And that's beautiful, and that can be very sacred.
Yeah. No, I think sometimes in my brain, I've always associated kind of the sacred with, those very structured and, these are the, the things that I need to be able to explain. And I think you're introducing and inviting something very different. That's just very liberating. I think that, yeah, we don't have to have it all figured out. Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious, we're talking about, what comprises an awe moment. And I'm curious, how do you encourage people to maybe seek out moments of awe? I know part of this is, maybe we have a moment that we haven't expected and it just hits us out of nowhere. But I'm curious if you have suggestions for those listening that maybe I want to kind of practice, I guess, or I want to invite that into my life in a way.
Well, the reason I think it's good to know the features of an awe moment is you can ask yourself, when was the last time something took my breath away or gave me goosebumps?
Yeah.
And you can even journal about it. For example, let's just say one morning you're just feeling kind of down and out of it and disconnected. But you can ask yourself, what's given me goosebumps over the last weeks or months or anything this year?
Yeah.
What gave me chills? What lifted me? Or what gave me a sense of the world suddenly being so much bigger than me? So you can kind of go down and just recollect, what was that? And then if you really are having fun with this, you can list 3 or 4 maybe moments that either took your breath away or time stopped. See what I'm saying? You can kind of ask based on the symptoms of the moment. Just say, when did time stop? When did something take my breath away? When did I feel small against something so much bigger? And believe me, little bits of memories will come back with some of those. And I write them down. And the beautiful thing is, even if it goes back many years, we often will see a pattern. And I'll notice, the things that excite me particularly. So you learn about your own natural ways to awe. So, for example, I remember times that gave me chills, and it was often synchronicities. Like, how did that happen on the particular day this was going on in my life? Like, I just remember one day I was had lost a whole lot of money and done a huge overdraft in the bank, and I was just really freaking out, and it was cold winter, and I had to step out with I had no money. I had to go get some milk because I was just going to live on cereal for the day.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, there was a $20 bill lying on the sidewalk. Just, just the chances of those things.
Yeah.
Even if you could explain it 100 different ways, there's a reason for that. But isn't it beautiful just to enjoy, hey, wow, the chances of that happening? So I started noticing my pattern of getting wowed in life is around synchronicity and signs. Those give me a lift that'll last for days.
Love that. And the synchronicity, oh my gosh, does that come up so much in my work with grievers? They'll say I was missing my person, and the thing that reminded me of my person was maybe a particular type of bird. And guess what? I go outside and there it is. Right. And like you said, we can explain it so many different ways, right? But I think allowing ourselves to just maybe have gratitude as well. I'm wondering if gratitude is a part of
That
this as
goes
well.
hand in hand. Absolutely. All moments make us feel that gratitude and humility. And you see, I just wish we didn't box ourselves in so much, feeling like there has to always be an explanation. See, as a scientist, I love science. It's a great frontier. But at the same time, science can coexist with moments of just being thrilled. Let that sink into your body, and your whole brain and soul and body need that sense of, wow, it's so good, even if we can't explain it. It's okay. Feel the magic and do it anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's so easy to be cynical, and
That's
that
right. Thank you.
probably goes right against what it means to have an awe moment. Because I'm thinking of so with all the space stuff going on, and Kaylee and I went and saw the movie Project Hail Mary, which is
Oh,
a fun,
so good.
great, awe-inspiring movie.
Yeah.
Been
I know
watching a
lots of
lot of
people. Yeah,
Yeah.
lots of
yeah,
people were
yeah,
talking about it. Yeah.
yeah. It's great, great. Highly recommend it. So I've been watching a lot of Neil deGrasse Tyson reels, and talk about somebody who has a wealth of knowledge, but also still has that kid-like awe when he talks about these things.
Yeah.
And I think, and so I think,
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of people, and I'll throw myself in this boat, like it can be so easy to be cynical because we live in a world that a lot of times feels that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Or
letting our
culture, maybe I
head
should
and our
say, a culture.
ideas dominate our feelings and what we're sensing. And that robs us of being human and being alive. Don't let this thinking stuff, piling, don't let all those thoughts pile on you like that. Yeah. Have a moment where you just break out of it,
Yeah. I like what you say too, Stephen, about, Neil deGrasse Tyson, his reels and his excitement of just kind of the mysteries of the universe. But I also love that he acknowledges how much we don't know. And I think that's part of this as well, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's a part
It's
of the
exciting.
Yeah. Like
As opposed to I think for a lot of people, we fear what we don't know. It's an excitement that we don't know. And I think that sounds like that's part of one of the key things with an awe moment. It's being okay that we don't know, and that's exciting. And I think that can be really hard to do sometimes.
And thank you for
Yeah.
bringing him out, because he's a good, if you like, role model for saying
Yeah.
we can feel both. We can have the
Yeah.
science explanation, but feel the incredible joy and wonder at the same time, and awe. And, we don't have things to wonder about unless we've had a powerful awe moment. So a lot of the things that we wonder about are kind of like spin-offs of a big moment of awe. Just saying. So he also encourages us, and that's what science does. It allows us to wonder and be curious. And there's so much brain research on curiosity and wonder, how it helps us prevent us from dementia, and helps our brains age in healthy ways, is keeping that wonder and curiosity going. And again, Degrassi,
Yeah.
he is such a good example of keeping that alive in us. Thank you for bringing him up,
Yeah.
Stephen.
Yeah. When I think about the people that have maybe taught me the most about awe and wonder, I also think a lot about kids, right? And they don't, and this is maybe a silly example, but I wrapped up a 6-week grief support group with some local elementary school students, and it was really sweet. One of my kids drew me a picture of our group, which just was so sweet. But I had purple hair, and and I think our natural instinct as adults is to be like, no, that, we don't have purple hair. Why did you do that? But it was just it reminded me that also this concept of like whimsy and joy and it's okay to be a little silly. And I think also kind of opens up those parts of ourself too. The playfulness, the, yeah, the smiling at the idea of having bright purple hair. Like, I think kids can be a really good space to learn from as well in this childlike wonder,
And you asked
I'd like
about
you with
ways.
bright purple hair.
What's
Yeah.
that, Stephen?
I'd like you with bright purple hair.
Well, you were
I don't know
asking
about
about
that.
ways we can bring awe back into our life,
Yeah.
and taking walks with children or grandchildren or
Mhm.
friends' children.
Yep.
It's amazing how much that sparks our naturally.
Mhm.
It sparks. I just think it's almost built into being human, that when you
Mhm.
walk with children and see things through their eyes.
Yeah. I think so. There's just a natural playfulness that I think, as even to your point, I think as we get old, we lose that, right? And we become maybe more cynical and
It's just so easy to, I think, fall into that cynical
Yes.
role.
Mhm.
And it takes work. It takes effort to have
Yeah.
awe and be
Mhm.
inspired.
You're right.
Yeah.
Against all the pressures on us to be cynical and to explain everything. And
Mhm.
I actually look at preserving our sense of awe and wonder is an act of resistance.
Mm.
And I
Mhm.
mean against the
Yeah.
negative forces that want us to feel fear and I would say, loosely
Mm.
speaking, it can be the forces that not only make us feel bad or helpless or powerless, and you all know as clinicians, those feelings, how they affect our anxiety and depression.
Mm.
But what my point is that when we invite a moment of awe proactively into our
Mm.
life and say, I'm going to give myself a moment of awe every day. And let's say it's watching the birds at the bird feeder. Let's say it's a walk. Let's say it's listening to certain types of music. You purposely put it in there so you can
Mhm.
allow those goosebumps to come back
Yeah.
for a
Mm.
moment. It doesn't have to be long. And the point is, it doesn't have to be a great big experience. It can just be little ways.
Mhm.
And by doing that, you're telling yourself, I won't let things take away my awe
Mm.
and wonder because it helps preserve the best of me. It gives my
Mm.
brain a reset. It helps me unlock
Yeah.
with the default mode network. Awe unlocks us from that default mode network of
Mhm.
our brains that keep us locked in our thoughts and our rumination. So it's good
Mm.
for us to get a break from that
Yeah.
default mode,
Yeah.
deactivate that mode, come into the present. And even if it's only a minute, it does amazing things to
Yeah.
reset your brain and your outlook for the whole day. And I'm not being
Mhm.
Pollyanna and saying, oh, awe keeps us happy. You know what
Yeah.
grievers have told me, people grieving that I've been learning from them about their awe and wonder?
Mm.
And I really want to share this here. You see, a lot of us think we have to have a lot of joy and love in our hearts to feel like we can heal. The
Mm.
beauty of having an awe moment or a moment of wonder, you don't
Yeah.
have to have all the bells and whistles of joy and love. It can just be something that simply fascinates you.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be joy. It can just be
Mhm.
something that
Mhm.
just stops you and goes, well, that was weird, or that's
Mhm.
really interesting. And
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
much more accessible than feeling joy and love. So when you're really feeling lonely,
Yeah.
just a moment of going, wow, that made me think something different. Something
Mhm.
different's going on.
Mm.
That's enough to help us heal. So
Oh,
that's
I
what I'm
love
hearing
that.
from grieving people.
I love that. And I love this idea of preserving our sense of awe and wonder being an act of resistance. Because I do think just the world feels so heavy right now and chaotic. And it's so easy, I think, to forget. I love how you said the best parts of ourselves, right? And yeah, I'll be thinking about that for a while. All in wonder being an act
And
of
I don't mean
resistance.
necessarily
Yeah.
political resistance. I just mean
Yeah.
resistance to the
Just, yeah.
cynical
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
forces that take
Exactly.
all the
Exactly.
magic out of
Yep.
life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Don't
Yeah.
take
No,
it away.
don't take the magic away. Yeah.
That's right.
And being intentional about that and really saying, like, I'm going to do things to make sure that that doesn't happen, and I love that you're reminding our listeners that it doesn't have to be big or extravagant. Like it can be very, small, looking at the birds or just allowing ourselves to, again, not have to have everything figured out. Anything that just kind of incites curiosity. Yeah, I love all of it.
Do you ever find that with the survivors of grief, or even I'm thinking of like trauma survivors, that they hit barriers where it can be really hard to have those moments of awe because we've been hurt or
Mm,
we've experienced this loss, and to give myself permission to maybe uh, let go a little bit, like
mhm,
relinquish control or the illusion of control to have an awe moment is scary.
Mhm. What's been empowering for people I also profiled in my book who hit that,
Hmm.
felt like they're
Yeah.
just numb, they can't.
mhm,
Something that's really simple and basic is, let's say you've got a regular group of people you meet with. Let's hopefully maybe you have a support group or you have maybe a friend or two. Let's hope you have somebody that you, even a psychotherapist, somebody that you are connecting with as another human. Okay? Even if you're feeling flattened and dull and like,
mhm,
I haven't had any awe and wonder. Did you
mhm,
know that even if you told a story from another part of your life, just tell the story and let the person listening share that magic and
mm,
revisit that experience. And something amazing happens. It's contagious. So
Mm,
sometimes a person hearing your story is going to
yeah,
feel that awe and wonder for a moment, and they may feel it more than you do.
yeah,
mm.
Does that make
yeah,
sense? Like when you can tell a story of something that happened
And
to you,
and seeing that in the other person,
seeing it
or
in the other
sharing or
person.
bearing witness to that, like that
And it
mhm,
will
is something that
spark
then
it
comes back.
back in you for at least a moment.
mhm,
Like when
yeah,
I had somebody telling a story of when they were really distraught as a child, and it was a very sad story about
mm,
Christmas time, and the parents had been injured in an accident and the child was dropped off with a relative, and it was a beautiful story of the Christmas tree being so beautiful that it momentarily took the child off the sudden fears and loss and trauma around their
Mhm.
parents in an accident, and the magic of that Christmas tree and how it just comforted and brought awe to that child. So this person in their 30s was telling the story, I listened to this, of when he was a 10-year-old child and what happened with that tree. And everybody was so moved listening to that story. And for
yeah,
a moment, it unlocked the storyteller from that numbness.
mm,
So
mm,
it's beautiful how awe and wonder is contagious, and we can help each other get the
yeah,
feels back.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. Mm,
Well,
Yeah.
you're really speaking to, I think, like, why it's, and we lost it, during COVID, but why it's so important to have, like, movie-going experiences or
mhm,
theater or
yeah,
That's right.
concerts, or just
Yeah.
places where we can gather, and how
Mhm.
when we lost
shared
some of that,
experiences.
it was hard.
Mhm. Well, there's
There are
something to be
people
said
going to
too.
Coldplay concerts
Yeah, yeah,
and,
yeah.
Florence and the Machine with all of her,
Yeah,
you know,
uh-huh,
it just there's so many great performers, right? But
yeah,
people who have, Stephen, I know I hear people all the time saying, golly, that concert just brought it all back for me. I
Mhm.
thought I had lost
mhm.
part of myself.
Aw, yeah,
So art and music, all these things can bring that back. Thank goodness.
yeah,
And your
yeah,
Right.
superheroes and
Mhm.
go into
Mhm.
superhero movies.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah. Or sharing, boy, that getting with people and saying, "Boy, wasn't that concert, that movie, that comic, that superhero thing, whatever, wasn't that
mhm,
great?" And being able to
Mhm.
have that level of engagement, and when you, again, like, that touches on the shared experience of that when you share your story, it also it helps you relive the awe or reawaken or reopen the awe.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. And it works great with seniors sharing stories and life stories who might have lost their sense of wonder. And then they tell stories with each other. Same thing happens with reminiscing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. I think
Do you think that plays a big role into why, popular culture has really tried to, profit off of nostalgia is because it reawakens some of those things in people.
It's tempting to profit off of that because it really works, because humans are hungry to tell their stories, especially if it's something that made them feel better. And it's also very empowering to make other people feel better through a story.
Yeah.
And, making things relevant, even if they're from a long time ago, to carry it on. So there's a lot of, not only back to resistance, we're saying we're going to carry on the best of ourselves through the stories we tell, through these moments that we share, like in concerts or in, why do people go to sports events? A lot of it is because of those moments of the whole crowd. And, we can keep restoring that in us with these kinds of things. And so I'm always excited about how, get worked up about it in a good way. It's good to get excited about things and get people to come.
Yeah. Well, I think so many people shared after they went to the Taylor Swift Eras tour. I'm a huge Swiftie over here. There was even moments where there were pieces of that experience that like people couldn't quite remember or articulate. And I just think about that, like you said, that collective effervescence, right? Just being all together in those moments. And, just the shared power of sharing these experiences. I think I love your question. When was the last time something took your breath away? I think I'm going to start asking that in my grief groups.
Yay, that's a good one.
Just to invite that conversation, right? Like, when was the last time?
One woman who had lost her child was talking about how going to places where other people were actually sharing something about children, for her, it didn't make her feel more grief to vicariously enjoy places where parents were playing with their children. You can vicariously, and the whole discussion of what's called third places, third spaces, the idea of, I remember when I was wicked lonely going through a period of going to movies. This was back like in 2008. I started going to movies more because I loved being in the audience, having the human experiences. And even if at that time I didn't have close people to share a movie with, just the group experience of everybody gasping or laughing together, the audience feels. So I'm encouraging you, even if you are feeling disconnected and lonely, just go hang with some happy crowds and you'll vicariously get that and have some hope in humanity and say, it's okay out there. There's still some decent human beings. So vicarious. And that's why we like going to little spots, what I call like little perches out in our communities where, no, we don't interact closely or personally, but you just want to be around the happy vibes or people chatting. And so put yourself, like, how a cat sits in a room in a chair and it's like enjoying being there,
soaks
but
in the sunshine, right?
Soaking it up. So those soaking it up things I'm highly recommending, especially when you don't have a person right there to,
I love that. No, I think it reminds me of, in college, I took a class from my favorite professor called Sociology of Community. And we read a book called Bowling Alone by Robert Putnam, sociologist. And and he talked about the decrease in these third spaces that you're referring to and kind of the long-term impact that has had on us collectively. And We don't necessarily. And I think, to your point too, Stephen, I think we didn't even realize how desperately we needed it until maybe COVID and we couldn't access that. Right. And, for good reasons. Right. I mean, I'm speaking as someone with chronic health issues, and it isn't often safe for me to be in big, environments and spaces. But I do think you're so right that even just sometimes being in proximity and being around people sharing an experience it is so profound. Again, whether that's theater, whether that's a movie, whether that's listening to the same song with some friends. I mean, there's so many, I think, examples of just that power of being that vicariousness you're talking about.
Yeah.
Such good stuff. Stephen, what other questions do you have for our friend Val today? What other things are percolating in your brain over there?
Well, I've just got a lot of stuff to think about.
I know, right?
Nothing too pressing. Is there anything else about, your experience with awe and wonder, Val, or just anything in general that, you want to impart to us as we're talking about these different topics?
Well, I'll say, as a woman who's moving up through the decades, and I'm a senior now, I will say that sometimes the best thing we can say is, I still have my sense of wonder. It's still there. And even if you only had a moment of wonder 2 weeks ago, or it's still there, when you claim it, that's why I wrote my book, Healing Through Wonder.
Yeah. Please promote that. It's such a good one. Yes.
Wonder.
Yeah.
It was about claiming our sense of wonder as one of the ways to hold on to the best of ourselves and not let the world dictate where we give our attention. Part of claiming our sense of wonder is saying, I don't have to let everything take my attention. I can stop that stuff, turn that off. I know the easy line to say is go out and touch grass. Well, okay.
Right.
They say that, but maybe if there's no grass around, there are other ways to touch, in a sense, a moment. So collect things that will bring that wonder back for you and claim it. You can claim it every day, whether you have a piece of music you put on or you have something beautiful on the wall that you can just pause and go, yes. And we can instill it and claim it and stop diminishing and dissing our sense of wonder. So I wrote this book to say our sense of wonder is a source of strength. It's a source of perseverance. It's resilience, and it sure gives us hope. So
and it sounds like something that we almost maybe some of us more than others, but like we have to curate and we have to work continually work on, because I feel like it could be so easy to lose that if you're not careful.
But it's natural too. You see, if we just have even one moment of wonder, it sort of opens us up to remembering there are a lot of ways we've had wonder that are so natural and so easy. We don't give it enough credit. So it's
almost
very
it's almost tapping back into some of those innate things about what it means to just be human. Yeah. Well, Stephen, do you want to wrap us up? Ask our question that we usually ask. And
what are we watching, reading, or playing this week? Val, do you want to start us off? What are you watching, reading, or playing?
I've watched a lot of YouTubes of Florence and the Machine.
Oh, she's so
great. I really love the song Symphony Magic and her Scream song, but she brings a lot of awe in.
She does.
She gets a little witchy and woo-woo out there, sort of, but
we're here for that.
I don't necessarily, I'm just a disclaimer here. You don't have to subscribe to that witchy stuff, but she has a great deal of awe and reverence for the beauty of life that she's bringing into her pieces. And it's been very empowering for people. But
Mhm.
want to also preface this by saying you can have spiritual feelings and moments and enjoy it anyway. Don't try to censor it and say, oh, that's too woo.
Mm.
It could be
Mhm.
woo if you described it
Mhm.
to certain people, but still you can enjoy it too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Mhm.
What about you, Kaylee?
Oh man, I have really been enjoying with kind of our space conversation. The TV show For All Mankind. It's an alternate history show, and kind of the question of what would have happened if Russia got to the moon before we did, and it kind of changes the whole trajectory. But yeah, I think it's brought some really good conversations about. I even think I asked you, Stephen, the other day, do you think space exploration is still important? And I thought
Mhm.
that was so relevant to the conversation we're having today.
Yeah.
And we
Because
talked
it
about
inspires awe and
it
wonder.
does. It does. And I think about, the kids watching this latest, space expedition, um, just how awe-inducing and inspiring it is to have seen that and to be part of it. So anyway, it's a
But
really, really
yeah,
good show. Really enjoying it.
yeah,
So
good.
that's how
yeah.
I'll answer it. Yeah. What about
Also,
you, Stephen?
how space exploration inspires like engineers,
Yeah.
and because of the
Indeed.
space race in the
Mm-hmm.
60s, we have GPS, we have microwaves, you know, and all of it culminating in a phone that fits in a pocket,
Yeah.
which we probably wouldn't have without all of
Mm-hmm.
the things that we had to do space race. So yeah, just it all awe-inspiring on multiple levels.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That type of thing.
Yeah.
Um, what have I been reading, watching, or
Yeah.
playing?
Yeah.
Uh, so reunion show of Malcolm in the Middle hit Hulu a week or two
Uh-huh.
ago.
Yeah.
So love Bryan Cranston,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's been a lot of fun to go back
Uh-huh.
and revisit.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, just some good laughs.
I was just gonna say, it's interesting because Val, we talked in my group supervision this week about the importance of whimsy in the work that we do. So there's so much we could talk about in regards to that too. But I think, yeah, Malcolm in the Middle, just allowing those laughs, like it's so important, right? So important.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's a good answer, Stephen. I've enjoyed it too. Yeah.
that's good.
Well,
Well,
again,
thanks again, Val.
and we have more conversations scheduled with Val, and again, thank you so much for being willing to be part of
Yeah,
our
always good
conversations. And
conversations.
yes, you always make our neurons fire and think. So I love it.
You do,
You
you
do.
do.
And you all are fun to talk
Oh,
to.
thank you.
Yeah. I enjoy
All right.
myself
Oh,
here with you all.
awesome.
Thank you so
Well, glad
much.
to hear it.
Well, wonderful. Well, again, this has been the Death and Sex podcast through Refuge Counseling, and we hope everybody has a good rest of their day.
You've been listening to the Death and Sex podcast, brought to you by Refuge Counseling. Big thanks to our producer and editor, Taylor Ruiz, for making us sound way better than we do in real life. You can catch us on all of your favorite podcast apps, so hit subscribe because, who doesn't want more death and sex in their feed? And if you really want to keep the fun going, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Until next time, talk about the stuff nobody else will.